Hello Grade 10. This short video is designed to help guide you into understanding what needs to be done for the personal project over the next few weeks. The big deadline is before the trip away. You need to have got a bunch of stuff done. So first of all, at the personal project, I'm going to introduce you to what is known as the process journals. And this is a record of what you need to record the journey of your personal project. So I'm going to start off by showing you a quick video which gives you some insight.
The process journal is an essential working tool for developing and completing the MYP projects. Students should maintain a process journal throughout the stages of their project to keep notes on their investigation, planning, action, and reflection. In this way, students demonstrate their working behaviours and academic honesty. The process journal is a generic term used to refer to the record of progress maintained by the student throughout the project. It can be in any format that the student chooses. Technology should be at the forefront of the process journal routine, where appropriate. The use of tools such as smartphones, tablets, cameras, digital recording devices, wikis, etc. may allow students to record their development across the 4 project objectives and approaches to learning. Many students will prefer to keep their journal using digital media, such as a website, or may choose to document their process in the form of audio recordings. Of course, it may be in written form too, although it's important to stress that the process journal should not be a daily log or a diary. A mixture of formats might suit the student's project too. For example, the student might change formats for each stage of the project, preferring to record their investigation on a blog, their planning through oral recordings, their action taken on video file, and their reflection through a written record. In these choices, we should consider the school facilities, the accessibility of information and communication technologies, and the differentiated abilities of the students. On completion of the MYP project, students should select a maximum of 10 individual extracts to submit as appendices of their MYP project. For the community project, students may choose to work in groups, in which case the maximum number of extracts selected for the project should not exceed 15 per group. Extracts can be in many formats, but focus of the selection should be extracts that are directly relevant to the process that the student has undergone in the development and completion of their project. The extracts should clearly highlight how the student has addressed the objectives of the MYP project. These extracts will not be directly assessed, but will provide evidence to support the levels of achievement awarded for the project.
So that's a quick video overview of the personal project. Now we're going to go through the technical details. They like technology, they like you to use technology, and I'm going to encourage you to use ManageBack as the place to record some of your personal project. It doesn't have to be all of it. Some projects may work much better in other forms, but there's certain content which I expect to be done on ManageBack, and there's certain steps you need to go through. Step number 1 is setting up your ManageBack account so it recognizes what you've done. So 1, go to the project section of ManageBack and select Edit Personal Project Proposal. Once you're in there, you enter the topic and the goal and select the global context. Now please note, if you've forgotten what your goal is, I have put a file onto ManageBack in the personal project section which has a list of all of the confirmed goals I have so far. So you can go back and check there. Now this has to be entered, and all these things need to be entered, and you press save, because when you do that it will update what you can see in ManageBack. It's a big step forward. After you've done that, we're going to step back a moment and think about this process journal. So the process journal has 2 elements to it. there's, as explained, kind of notes of the journey. Okay, so it's not a diary, but any important tasks that you do, it's worth recording and putting information about it, and this is your true process journal. As well as that, I have what would be described as some mandatory process journal entries. Now what these are a series of steps which you have to write specific entries. These entries are, and I can't hide this, this is pretty much the first draft of your final report. So what will happen is you'll write these entries, and then when you have a meeting with your supervisor, I'll be talking about those later, when you have a meeting with the supervisor, they'll look at those entries and they'll look at a rubric which has been produced for each entry, and they'll provide, along with you, you'll come to an agreed level, which gives you a feel of how good your first draft is, and this is something you can improve on as you go through. So your process journal has two parts: the general stuff of you kind of maintaining a record of what you've been doing, and also my mandated process journal entries, which are designed to help you prepare for your final report, the first draft basically. So when you enter a process journal entry, you'll click on enter process journal entries, and you get to a page like this, and you can journal, just type in, you could add YouTube clips, websites, additional photos, additional files. All these things can be easily added into your process journal. And that's what you're going to be doing moving forward. Again, a quick step back. Remember earlier on I said that you can report your personal project in lots of different ways. It could be written, it could be electronic, it could be oral, or it could be a visual film. Just remember from the beginning, if you're thinking about doing something which is, let's say, a visual film, it'd be really helpful if you're recording a lot of your content as film already. So that means your process journal entries could be in the format of film. If you're thinking of doing an electronic website, then again, I'd make sure I'm having lots of digital photos of the process, trying to capture everything you do, because that will help that process as well. So think about what you intend to produce your final report, and that will inform what you do with your process journal. So that's setting up your process journal. So do we have images? Do we have footage? Those are things to think about. My next thing, you've managed to set up your manage back so you're able to enter some process journal entries. For your first meeting with your supervisor, which will take place after the school trip, and your supervisors will be identified because of a shared interest in the goal that you've set up, and I'll be organising that. You have to talk about 3 required process journal entries. So let me talk about those. These process journal entries are designed to complement your requirement of define a clear goal and global context for the project based on personal interests. So this is why the process journal entries are as they are, because they fit with that strand. What we're going to have now is the first process journal entry you must do is my goal is blank 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 because. So this is you stating your goal and stating why you've set up this goal. So the reasons behind that. And we're really looking for you to have a clearly defined personal interest, and also clearly define that it's a challenging goal. Remember when I said about challenging goals, it often means it has several different descriptive stages. You're also asked to do a process journal entry about which global context you've chosen and why. So clearly define why it's an appropriate global context for the project that you have in hand, and how that global context has impacted the goal in some way. Prior knowledge, you're asked to explain what prior knowledge you have in all of the areas of your personal project. So you need to identify any things that you've done which may relate to your project, and try and give this as much detail as possible. So again, I recommend that you think about all of the elements which you've done previously at school that could support your overall project. So, final note. I need to know what your 3 process journal entries. One is my goal is and because, so the reason why you selected that goal, your personal interest. Number 2 is the global context, why it was chosen. And number 3, I need you to know about any prior knowledge and experience which will help support your personal project. Please review this video again and again, and also there's lots of additional information on the personal project website for you to check that this all needs to be done by, and the deadline for this is before we leave on the school trip. Okay, so this must be done before we leave on the school trip. I'll be checking that Monday morning and speaking to anyone who hasn't managed to do that, and then we'll be providing you with some time in Homework Club to catch up on that. Okay, thank you very much.